Good evening. We have a very special edition of today's night court, which is Krazy. And, I apologize for my demeanor. I assure you this is going to be the one and only episode that I will actually say I really, really regret filming. I know I regret filming because I don't want to film it, but on a lighter note, I was at a comedy club yesterday and I invented a show which is called Funny Boxing. And the way it works is really simple. We produce a show, me and whatever venue is involved, because it's a show that's really catered to the venue. And essentially it's a competition of 12 comedians that have a chance to go in front of a panel of 7 judges, which are audience members that are randomly selected by both myself and my adversary, which is the owner of the nightclub. Essentially, we all love a competition. We all love comedy. Why not combine the two of them and make it at least something that is coherently normal? And essentially, I had a great time. I bombed on stage, by the way, Jamie. I assure you I know what I'm talking about. I bombed on stage, but as nervous as I was, I got over it, and I was able to... people hated me. I was actually told by a number of the comedians, nobody likes you.
True story.
I threw a couple of the comedians off, but essentially the name of this video is going to be... Night Court, and in a later video that I'll film tomorrow, I'll call them out for not having the balls to take my challenge on. And my challenge is very simple. You've got 13 comedians versus 1. And the reason why I say this is that if the panel of judges of, let's say 13 human beings, so there's, no possibility of a tie, each one of the rounds, me versus the person. So for example, if I'm on stage, the audience can gauge how I am as an audience member based on my being heckled by the comedian. Remember, the comedian has to make fun of me as much as I'm going to make fun of the comedian. I will judge the comedian as well because I am the 13th judge. The way it works is that I am the tiebreaker if there is 6-6, and my honesty is irrefutable. If I think someone is better than me, I will say right away, this man is better than me. The competition is very simple. If I win the competition, I get 50% of the door. If I lose the competition, then I pay an entry fee. It is the only way that the owner of the club and the venue cannot lose money. My goal is not to generate income through taking advantage or, quote, hustling, because one could easily say that, hey, Daniel, you have like thousands of hours of talking in front of YouTube. And I would say, yeah, you're absolutely right. But at the same time, going on stage is completely different. Would you agree with that, Ms. Resnick? How would you say I did yesterday?
You did really, I was really proud of you. I thought
oh, shut up. Come on, give me a real breakdown of what you think. And would you be able to do I've done it?
No. I actually think it was more intimidating that it was a smaller venue.
Have you ever met anyone who has done this?
Tried to be a stand-up comedian? Yes, I have.
No. I did not try to to
get up on stage.
I went on stage for 5 minutes, no more. I did a prop comedy joke, which included me pretending to accidentally rip the cord out, and then I put it in, and I said, "Is this thing on yet?"
I thought it was great. I thought you did a great job.
If 5 minutes is not enough to do a comedy set, it's just enough to do a joke. It's the equivalent of a talent show at a camp or a school.
Totally.
More of a camp where it's impromptu and you grab the mic and you say a joke and things like that.
Yeah.
In reality, I think it should be a 10-minute sets.
Absolutely. 5 minutes is just too short.
Yeah. It should be 8 to 13 minutes. I would do 22 minutes because that's the length of a YouTube video, and we live in 2026, not 1994. And essentially, one of the things I want to remind everyone that I'm going to present a structured format of a show. The venue... I'm not really sure. It may or may not have a boxing theme. So funny boxing would be an ideal thing. And essentially the audience would participate. The audience would have a chance to be one of the 12 votes. And everybody uses an app that I will create in order to cast the vote on who they believe is. They could also leave notes.
The winner?
The winner. Now, one thing you need to understand, in order to cast a vote, you must have only 3 options. First option is, I felt an emotion that I hate Dan Reese's. That is a green. That means that I won. Option, and the reason for that, it's a comedy club. Please understand that unless you're hated by the audience, you are nothing. Because without that, there is no entertainment. Correct?
Yeah.
1, I hate Dan Reese's. 2, I love Dan Reese's. 3, I think the comedian is on stage, or the other person that's not Dan Reese's is funnier. And you'll see their name on each round so that they get the credit for what they deserve.
Okay.
So that means that you only have to select 1 or 2 of the emotions that you feel against Dan Reese's. That means I have won the round. If anyone disagrees with it, they don't have to put on the show. It's not, you understand how it works?
Yeah.
That means that
I
without
like
me, the show could not exist. Meaning you might hate Dan, you might love Dan, but it's a green for Dan. You understand? And then the comedian, okay? So it's really simple. You only have 2 options. Mine are split in 2. So it's really, and I think it's very fair, don't you think? I also believe that you are absolutely all cowards if you don't take at least one of these challenges on in a structured format, and you have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
The venue, it was during the Knicks game, they were trying to explain that during the Knicks game it's quiet. I think that's complete bullshit. We live in the city of New York. People who go to Knicks games don't go to comedy clubs that much. It's a completely different audience.
Yeah.
So I don't know what a Knicks game would have to do with a venue
either.
that is pre-sold and really. But you know what? There was a lot of bullshit. As a matter of fact, when I was dominating in some of the conversations, the comedians, the most offensive thing is they used artificial intelligence to create jokes to zing me. That's how desperate they were. And I never did that. I didn't take my phone out one time in order to do anything, except I looked at my phone just because I was bored at some of the comedians. And believe it or not, in my opinion, when I take my phone out, it's the rudest thing that I can do to a comedian, because at that point I've lost all interest in the entire process, and the person has no stage presence. And I know that I might sound like I'm mean, but there are human beings that we as a society pay money to be mean. They're called critics. I'm not a critic. I'm not a judge. I am just extremely honest. When a human being is very honest and they're not in a formal capacity to judge or criticize, they're often looked at as either mentally ill or extremely mean. I was actually accused of mansplaining, and I didn't even have a chance to say that I wasn't mansplaining anything. I was dansplaining. It's a completely different format. You can dance-plain a lot of things.
Yeah, you can.
Dance-plain equals logic. That's it. Equals math. So, you understand? Dance-plaining, you might want to write that down. Dance-plaining equals logic equals math. Your little thing, all of words.
Equals logic.
Yeah, I was going to say, So, essentially, this episode of Night Court is really designed around, my hair's crazy. My episode of Night Court tonight is designed around me expressing to everyone that after this, it's 10:20 p.m. I've been working all day on my tomorrow's labor of love that I have to submit first thing in the morning. And I work, for anyone that met me at a comedy club or anything like that, I know that you might think that I'm narcissistic or mean or anything like that. Please understand that's called entertainment. I was doing nothing more than being an engaging member of the audience. Please understand that for a very long time, for many decades, interactive audience members were a very big part of a quality comedy show. If a comedy show was filmed in the 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s, the audience members were clearly told, hey, we're doing this as a film production. Please don't interrupt the comedian. If you choose to engage in this, there's many comedy clubs that are not part of TV productions. For tonight's event, for last night's event, part of their business model is they sell the audio tape. So I wasn't able to record anything because I'm not interested in fucking with their business, and I have a lot of respect for hardworking individuals. One of the gentlemen, Riley, you could really see how hard he works, especially on stage. You see, comedy comes in all forms. And the reality is that if they don't take my challenge on, I will then just bring the challenge to my location in Phillipsburg, which will be open within a few weeks, hopefully, if we are able to get a little bit of logic and semblance. Tonight's episode will feature me expressing to everyone that there are two dominant formats of how you can submit video and evidence. All of the things that I'm discussing here, I choose not to discuss right now because my goal is to really split my content into two formats. There's going to be private content that may or may not go public depending on the resolution of the conflict, because my goal is to not violate the law ever. Not just privately, but also publicly, because I don't believe that I have the ability to do anything privately. No matter what I do, I end up on stage. And what that means is not in a metaphorical sense, but in a literal sense. Because last night was nothing more than me doing, you know what, guys? You want me to be the joke of the room? No problem. I'll figure out a way to generate income doing that rather than driving Uber or maintaining laborious tasks. I have a mind that's able to analyze and forecast the logical resolution to significant paradoxes that exist in small business models such as commercial real estate. Last night was very different in the eyes of Daniel M. Reese. See, the way I see the world is, how can I make it better? How can I take this business model and offer a partnership, offer my services, offer the ability for them to make more money? I've always been taken care of. My goal is for people to think that I'm a complete idiot, such as the set that I bombed. And as an audience member, I was able to dominate most of the conversation, not because I wanted to, but because the other comics were simply too weak. There are going to be many times where there are many professionals that have the ability to destroy me. It didn't happen. Whether or not it happens, what?
It did not happen.
It did not happen. I am fair game, meaning you cannot hurt me, nor will I ever be offended by anything you say. As a matter of fact, the least offensive and smarter your comments are, the more respect you have for me. Offending a human being based on the circumstances of what they're going through, their body shaming, or making fun of things that people don't know about, such as, like what drugs are you on and things like that. Those aren't jokes. Those are cries for help from a comedian or a human being that shouldn't be on stage screaming that they are so desperate to be released from the pain that they're going through via direct communication with me. So when I heard one of the comedians who first proudly announced that he is autistic, which I have no issues with, but it puts the audience in an extremely uncomfortable position because on one hand, laughing at autism is not only insensitive, it is borderline confusing. And when you add confusion, laughter comes from a different place. Laughter needs to come from a point where you live a life of tension, and when you release that tension, you have endorphins. You can't do that if the man has Asperger's and he says something that's funny coming from a guy from Asperger's. So there is, you understand?
Yeah, it's true.
There's a certain understanding of comedy, and one of the formats that I understand is the 1-2-2-1-4 and the 1-2-2-1-3, and essentially those are so played out that the comedians last night, as young as they were attempting to create a 1-2-2-1-7-4-4 or a 1-2-2-1-7-3-4. So what these are the same as sonnets or musical notes, but in the rhythm of narration of jokes. So 1 stands for intro, 2 stands for meat, 2 stands for potatoes, 1 stands for close of intro, and 4 stands for punchline. For Jerry Seinfeld, and that's a standard joke, SJ. Not BJ, but an SJ. And when it comes to a observational humor, OH, 1-2-2-1-3, the 3 stands for the audience putting together what 1 is. So it's identical format, but it actually goes backwards and forwards in the human's mind because it's relatable. And essentially it only works if you have a certain type of audience. So essentially Jerry Seinfeld and David Copperfield are not that disalike. So David Copperfield is able to run his show based on control of the audience, the environment, and the venue. Jerry Seinfeld knows which observational humor jokes to make based on the ticket sales and the general demographic of the audience. Are there a lot of couples in the audience? Are there single people? Are there black people? Are there white people? These observations are essentially made directly to make the relation with the majority of the audience increase mathematically and get a better reserve and a rise. There's nothing wrong with that. That's called professionalism. I did the same exact thing by carefully observing the room and recognizing the majority of the people in there were white. The other room was black, which means that the black people didn't really find the humor that funny. To me, I find black people to be the core audience that is the discretion between humor, because the African American, the island community, they're much more honest with themselves. They've been victims of racist bullshit and confusion for hundreds of years, like most of the Jews that actually know what they are and can look in the mirror. And when I saw that, I realized the weakness of the crowd and realized that I need to help everyone. So that was my attempt to help. And I actually, at one point, recognized that my presence may or may not be uncomfortable. So my ability to read the room led me to say, hey, listen, let's get out of here. And how many times did I offer the comedian to leave, and she asked me to stay?
5.
All right. I would say it's 3, but 5 is good enough. Essentially, my point is that my goal is not to destroy anything, but rather to add, to be the villain of the story, and to say you don't have shit. The actual title, I'll tell it to you right now. It's going to be, I'm going to tell you right now, The Laughing Buddha has been laughing stock market. Okay? So the last part I might not add, I'm going to do the laughing Buddha has been. And when you never was, I'm going to say, in parentheses, never was. Never was. WZ, so you guys can read for the younger kids. Because I was the oldest comedian there, except for the cop, who was about 15 years older than me. When I asked him, come on, man, I was joking about the whole cop thing, because that's the first thing I said. He went out behind me. I was like, who believed that this guy wasn't a cop? And he used words like tie stick. No, I'm just kidding. I said tie stick, and he related to me, so I knew he was a cop. Only a cop would be like, oh, I know tie stick. So, essentially, the reason why I thought and I think he's a cop is his shoes, his shirt, his haircut, and the fact that he said, I'm an ex-con. An actual ex-con does not say, I'm an ex-con. They say, trust me, I'm not a cop. That's it. Because an ex-con who wants to make his life better, he also made some observational humor about a stable married life. A human being who identifies himself as an ex-con does not have funny tidbits about his wife and kids. I also did not find him to be lying. He also mentioned marijuana without being high. That's an also red flag. Whenever you're in a situation with human beings that talk about weed persistently without actually smoking weed, there's an ulterior motive that's delivered at the onset of them mentioning something that is not even on the tongues of the other party. Please recognize that humor is very, very off-putting and extremely relaxing. So I'm not saying the guy was a narc. I'm saying that this video is going to stay up until they meet my challenge. Because what this is what the audience wants. Laughing Buddha, management, and Stephanie/Riley, I have a lot of respect for what you do. If I didn't, I would never waste my time. I don't believe that you have the capacity to invite me, nor do you want me ever there. So what I'm explaining to you is that if I'm there, you are guaranteed to sell more tickets, and I bring an audience of hundreds of human beings that will show up just for me to be made fun of. Remember, I will take a longer set. I will go every other comic in order to have a response, because it's a round. So it's one round that person, I get one round. Yeah. And it is the essential rizzing and the jokes that need to come in an original format, which is a competition. Because who wants to see more ubiquitous comedy that you're forced to laugh at? And if you don't laugh at it, then this comedy club makes you feel like there's something wrong with you. They actually yell at you. They're like, come on, who comes to a comedy club not to laugh? And what I, as the audience, was like, well, I mean, the jokes are not good. And like when I would say that, they'd be like, "You're an idiot! Come on! You want to get up here?" I say, "Yeah, I do." And then, "Shut up!" And like, you know, there was no actuality. You know what? My time is up. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you understand. This is a split iteration. I love my boys very much. I dedicate my art to my boys and my father with no tears in my eyes and nothing but love and happiness. Please understand that there are human beings who have made sacrifices to make sure the ones around them love, live, and experience the things they don't have. I'm simply one of those human beings. Hate me or love me, just click the green button. Don't hit the like or subscribe. Leave no comments for anything except other people that are not me that want to read them. And enjoy the rest of your life, because you will have a beautiful, brilliant life if you could look in the mirror and say to yourself, whether or not I hate Dan Reese's, God damn it, this motherfucker instills emotion in me that I've never felt before.